Welcome back, everyone, to Inside Texas Baseball. I'm your host, Evan Beath, as always, joined with Nash Talks Texas here. Before we jump into baseball, Nash, spring football is right here. Starting this week, Texas is practicing in the spring, and there's no better place to learn about the Texas football team than here at Inside Texas. A great deal for y'all, $1 for 4 months, new members only. You can join Inside Texas today and get all the reporting about the football team, learn about the new head coach for basketball, Sean Miller, and, of course, read our articles about Texas baseball because right now, Texas athletics is in a great spot because this baseball team, Nash, is surging at the perfect time. 2-1 series win over LSU this weekend. We got on this podcast last week and talked about how going 2-2 would be very important for Texas this weekend. It happened. It maybe didn't happen the way we thought it would, but the Longhorns either way lost on Tuesday, but did take the series against LSU with Saturday and Sunday wins. Nash, what a great week it is to be a Longhorn fan, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean this is what you dreamed of with Texas baseball when Jim Schlossnagle took over. And if we're being quite honest too, I think most people when they're dreaming of this, they're dreaming of this 2 to 3 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to watch this special, like this is, we're after next week we'll be halfway through the season, and to have only 3 losses up to this point, it's just even with one of those losses being against UTSA, this is a really special baseball squad.
Just a superb coaching job by Jim Schlossnagle this weekend. But first, we do need to talk about this Tuesday game as it happened, in between the last time we've talked. Texas played against UTSA, hosted the Roadrunners, and 8-7 loss, 12-inning affair. Nash, so much happened in this game. It was one of the most just anomalies of a baseball game you'll ever see. That's just baseball, how it was. But what do you remember about this matchup, and how did Texas end up taking the loss here?
I mean, right off the bat, I'm sitting there thinking 6-2 in the 6th inning. Yeah, this game's locked. All right, as soon when Cade Bing leaves the game, which Cade Bing, that's the Cade Bing that we thought we were going to see. You see all the stats from the junior colleges, right? It took a little bit acclimating to get to the college level, the D1 college level baseball, but he looks like he's arrived, and he had. I mean, what was it? He came in to help out. Drew Rarick just had a bad start, and I mean that's going to happen, right? And Cade Bing just whatever you could have asked for, he gave it to us. And to only allow 1 run after that point, with I think he came in with the bases loaded and no outs. It's just amazing job from him. But yeah, to be sitting there 6-2 in the 6th inning, Cade Bing's leaving, you're like, this game's locked, right? This game's locked up, but. It was anything but. After that, I mean, UTSA, you look at the scoreline, and it's just UTSA. Yep. Ball just kept falling in the right spots for them. It was like little rinky-dink stuff. And ultimately, I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but it's stuff that's not going to consistently happen. You're not going to consistently lose games this way. So I'm okay with it happening, but I will also say that Galvan, it gave us a really cool moment with Galvan, and that should have been like his the game winning run. Yeah. But it is what it is, and errors get made, things happen, and we lose the game. But I also do think that kind of losing that game, as bad as stupid as this sounds, was almost kind of a good thing for Texas, because we went into this weekend series wide awake.
Yeah, and I'm flashing back to about 5 days ago. I wrote an article on Wednesday about 3 things that I learned from this game, 3 things I'm thinking about going into the LSU series. And, it was a little bit of a pessimistic, might not be the word, but just an article that wasn't as highly loaded with praise for the players. Rarick was unfortunate, gave up a leadoff home run, then got 3 batters on through walks and hit by pitches. Bing, 5 perfect. I mean, that's all you need. But the back half of the game, the hitting was pretty bad. They gave the 5 runs in the first, I think it was 3 innings it was. And then after that, only 2 runs. One was just a homer, or both were homers, actually. Solo shots from Rodriguez and Galvan. So I was a little concerned with how the batters were going to face, LSU pitching after that. But like you said, I think what really ended up coming from it was that UTSA played an absurdly good defensive game. I thought their infielders were making great plays, some diving plays in the outfield. Texas had multiple ones that hit off of a pitcher as it was going up the middle and bounced out for just an easy out for them. So I didn't put too much stock into it, but I definitely, there were some warning flags coming out after this game that, they're now 2 losses on the season. They're facing a number 2 team in LSU, and what's going to happen on the weekend. And then, Nash, as we transition into it, that Friday game was also a bit of a wake-up call because they lost as well. An 8-2 loss to LSU. seemed like the teams were on a different level of play at that point in time.
I mean, yeah, I would say that, but to start the game, it was pretty evenly matched. Again, like getting
Hmm.
to the sixth inning, but just late in the late innings, they had some really good at bats, and they just worked the bases, and it got to the point where that game was almost given what we used in pitching. Like we pitched Rio Haas, I think Grubbs on Tuesday, so we had used a lot of pitchers. So it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? Just given the circumstances, and not to say punt, right? Because you got a really good pitcher in Cody Howard coming in, but man, it did kind of feel like, hey, let's just get out of this game. All right, let's get to Saturday and Sunday, and let's take a series.
Yeah, and Spencer in this game, he didn't exactly mow through the first three innings, but three scoreless. I think allowed like four base runners. Texas strikes first in the third inning. I think it was a Jalen Flores single. It was, and they're up on the Friday team. But as Spencer got around to that second part of the order, they'd seen him already. I think it was Pearson had the 4-pitch walk, and then we talked about it off air. Hernandez's home run was just a spectacular feat of power. What he did there after kind of a weird at bat, and then LSU gets about 4 runs within the fifth inning. They're up 4-1, and then Duplantier, who had came in on Tuesday, then came out because of injury concerns. He just seemed a little bit behind on what we were used to him. He gave up 4 runs in less than 2 innings. If anything was positive from this game, is Cody Howard gave you 2+ innings of shutout ball, which when he came in, I was kind of waving the white flag, like you said, is probably not the way to put it, but not your number one reliever coming into the game right there when you're already giving up 8 runs, you're down by 6. But Howard, only 3 base runners and 2 1/3, got 2 strikeouts, was just getting bad contact from LSU, which is exactly what Schlossnagle wants from his pitchers. Bats weren't really alive. Ballou had 3 hits, but nothing really power standpoint there. What were you thinking after this LSU Friday game that needed to change for Saturday and Sunday, and did that happen?
Uh, One, just really kind of cleaning up the defense.
Hmm.
Man, it also, and then also just the counts on the pitchers end too. A lot more thought to the counts. It really, like, I mean, the way that LSU beat us on Friday, Augie Rito had to been rolling around his grave. I mean, he's sitting there watching Texas get beat playing small ball, and we're refusing to bunt, right? So he's
Yep.
probably like he loves Schloss, but he's probably sitting there going to Schloss, hey,
What's
let's
going
get some
on?
bunts going, brother. But I mean, and then again, games 2 and 3, Schloss shows exactly why you don't bunt. Get some good
Hmm.
bats rolling. But I mean, they were just they were. I use this term a lot with Ethan Mendoza, dirtbag. They won in a really dirtbag way on
Yeah,
Friday, and the only way you're going to beat a dirtbag team is by being a dirtbag yourself. Like, I mean, you gotta out dirtbag the dirtbags, and
exactly.
I mean, I just you see that with the way that we're working bases, and honestly too, I think there was in the Sunday game too. You saw like a guy, he's stealing second base on a first and third situation, and he's trying to get caught up in a rundown,
Hmm.
so
To score the
the
runner.
guy at third base can score, and it's like you look at Sloss after the Sloss is like sitting there looking at the guy going, "What are you doing?" Right, and then same thing later on. So I mean, there's a little bit of base running, like a little bit of base running that we can work on, but at the same time, I look at that and I go, hey, we just beat the number 2 LSU Tigers, and there's still room for improvement to be made.
Exactly. Yeah, and head coach Jay Johnson at LSU, he does pride himself on that kind of in-game management. The base running is important for them, but then when you pair that with how Zach Cowan pitched on Friday and just shut the game down in the last 3 innings, it didn't even look close on his pitches sometimes. So that was just a really well played game from LSU. But then you get to Saturday's game, and the Longhorns just woke up, man. It took a few innings. The first 3 innings were scoreless, but then I think I'm trying to do the math quickly. 11 runs between the two teams in the 4th through 6th innings. Texas got to pitcher was Anthony Ianson, pretty well in that 4th inning, tailed him out of the game, and then forced LSU to use I think 8 total pitchers in the game, which I think that was really what got it for Texas in that game, was just consistently forcing them to make bullpen changes, get uncomfortable guys into the game, and Texas bats just sitting back and making sure they're hitting the ball well.
Yeah, I mean it really felt like the LSU just kept prolonging their death, going
Yeah,
out there, and
yeah,
I know that was like a big picture, like big topic of conversation for some like fans just on like Reddit and whatnot. But they're
yeah.
sitting there talking about, Oh, here's this next game has been delayed by another Jay Johnson pitching change. So yeah, I mean I think LSU's bullpen is really kind of hit or miss, and we obviously got the miss on that one. But at the same
Mhm.
time, I don't want to take any credit away from Texas because I think you look like you go after that. You got Mendoza advanced to second, scored on Gasparino scores on a pass ball. Uh, Galvan homers to left field that brings in Flores and Mendoza. Flores homers to left field. Gasparino single to center. And he brings in Schlusser and he gets Rodriguez over to third. Flores single up the middle. Right? It's just like that. It's just good baseball, right?
A lot of different
Uh,
win conditions there.
yeah, a lot of different ways that you win, and also too, if you look at this, a lot of our stuff is coming with some good counts, and
Mhm.
it goes. I know a lot of people have an issue with. It feels like Texas is up there taking a first strike, and as little league as that does feel sometimes, this is a huge benefit for Texas, especially later as they get into the game. The more pitches you see, even though it's a new pitcher, right? It's more data to go off of, and you really kind of see it with the way that Texas in the game really kind of they poured it on late.
Yeah, and the 2 home runs came in very different counts. Galvan gets to a 3-1 count already. The pitch is a little frazzled after that pass ball and bombs it out to the outfield. But then Flores 0-2 count out of
Oh, two.
nowhere just tanks that ball and ties the game up for Texas. And then Texas would go on to score the next 4 runs. And when you look at this box score, just by itself, the 3 through 6, man, Flores, Galvan, Rodriguez, Schuster, 10 hits combined. I think it's 9 RBI together. And that's what the game was those guys because Max Blue and Ofer, he had a walk, but wasn't really the star in this game and wasn't the star of this team until, really took the next game. But just a great job by that middle of the order to do exactly what they're, paid, maybe is not the word, but exactly what they're supposed to do in these games. And yeah, the getting to LSU, getting towards these pitchers, 0 innings pitched for Ware, point 0.1 for Schmidt, or Mayers and Beck and Rizzi combined for 0.2 innings pitched. All took them forever to get through that ninth inning. Just a really good win for Texas there, or the eighth inning, excuse me. Just a really good win for Texas there, and I thought that just woke up the crowd in Austin. That Galvan homer and the Flores home run, just the sounds that I was hearing from. I unfortunately wasn't there, but I know you were around. And what was it like being in Austin for this series?
The Galvan homer. I mean that juiced everybody up. I will
Crowd
say
pop.
the Flores homer. That one was about as no doubter as you'll ever see. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's.
0-2 count.
I mean you see the left fielder. He's watches the ball. Yep. Okay. That happened. And I mean my jaw literally dropped. I didn't even say a word after it happened. I'm just sitting there like mouth open like I'm trying to catch flies out here. And uh Jalen Flores, I mean, it's just watching that thing soar into the night. I mean, forget the cow that jumped over the moon, the ball that jumped over the moon. That thing was hot off the bat, flying 401. I don't think people understand for a ball to have the launch angle that it had and fly as high as it did to go 401 feet, man. Uh, that was
Pretty
one certain.
absurd. Yeah, and I think
Back of the bat like that's going to energize the crowd anytime.
definitely, and I think we've neglected the pitching a little bit here. It was Luke Harrison had an all right game. Some errors involved, some shakiness from I think it was Borba who had or Rodriguez had the throwing error. Excuse me, but still a little bit left to be desired from the Friday Saturday pitchers. But what really showed up was Max Grubbs and Dylan Volantis, and we'll talk plenty about Volantis later in this episode. But yeah, Max Grubbs almost 4 full innings. The whip wasn't great. He did allow 5 hits, but 2 earned runs and 3 strikeouts in nearly 4 innings. You'll take that in long relief against a team that's good. And then Dylan Valenta shutting the door in the last 1 1/3 innings, getting that Mariano Rivera save. This LSU team could not hit this true freshman pitcher, and that's what a talent he is.
Yeah, I mean, if I could use one word for Max Grubbs, his ability to relieve on uh, Saturday was just effective relief,
Mhm.
right? Like you're playing a good team. Sure, are you going to would you like a bunch of strikeouts and no hits? Yeah, love that, right? But for him to do what he did, he held a really good lineup. He mitigated their damage and
Mhm.
yeah. Speaking of Volantis, that that dude is special. You
Yeah.
just you don't get to watch guys like that often.
Yeah, and I think before we head into that Sunday game, we have Laura Baker here to talk to you about just all the great things she does for the Austin area.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
And as we head into the Sunday series, Connor, if you want to pull up some of the hitting stats from this weekend, these two teams combined for 28 runs in the first two games. And then on Sunday, it's a 6-2 ball game that Texas won. And just a very different pace to how it was played. You're seeing these stats here, and I think Rylan Galvan first should get a huge shout out for how he's been hitting. I know Nash, you've talked a lot about him on Twitter. We both have. How good this hitter is right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can have the stats pulled up from since Mississippi State, but Rylan Galvan has been on fire, right? It's actually kind of funny. His overall stats compared before Mississippi State. His overall stats are better than since Mississippi State, but just being in the SEC with, I think his OPS is at 1.448 or something like that. This is not stuff that you normally get to see. This isn't normal, right? And we were talking about it before we came in. The closest thing that we've seen to this in recent history, his name is Ivan Melendez. And it's just like, this is the level of hitting that he is at, and he has just absolutely caught fire.
Yeah, these stats you're seeing on the screen are conference only, so just these 6 games that Texas has played. Ole Miss game in the start didn't count as a conference game. So
okay,
last time the last time that there was over 1,000 slugging hitter was Ivan Melendez, like you said. Rylan Galvan 1048 slugging, 1548 OPS. Even Jalen Flores is one that sticks out as not doing too well, but he had a great weekend in my opinion. I think that was mostly from Mississippi State where these stats aren't looking good, but Sunday's game had some good hitting. I think Tommy Farmer really needed that game, getting 3 hits there after he was 1 for 22, I think it was, coming into that game in his last however many at bats it was exactly. But Texas gets 3 runs in the first 2 innings, and then Schlossnagle did something with these. Him and Wiener did something with these guys because Ruger Riojas, his first start since February of 24, hasn't done it yet with Texas. Gets you almost 6 full innings of 2-run baseball, 6 strikeouts. He was just pounding the zone there. It just felt like anything he threw was getting to his spot. He looked fantastic out there. And outside of him, Dylan Volantis, of course, was the key to that. I know you're saying in our chat that you have one more Galvan note before we go into Volantis.
Yeah, I just two things. One quickly. 500 on base percentage. Literally half the time he's getting up. He's getting on base. It's like it reminds me of that Moneyball clip. What does he do? Gets on base. All right. That's baseball. That is one of the biggest things in baseball is getting on base. If you can, because the number one prerequisite before you score a run is getting on base. So if you don't get on base, you can't score a run. The second is, man, his defense has been just absolutely lights out and fantastic. He's been a wall back there, and honestly, I know the stats say that he has 3 stolen bases against him. Those are all either pass ball or wild pitches, like balls that get past the catcher. That is not, as far as contested stolen bases go. He has. I can't remember a single time that somebody's, when he's throwing down, has gotten a stolen base off him. And 2, also that this goes into the pitchers with Max Wiener. They're getting to the plate a lot quicker, right? They have a set time of, hey, you need to get to the plate or you're not going to be on the field. And if you're not able to get on the field, you're a selfish pitcher. And man, I love this mentality, and you see it immediately paying dividends.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that really stood out in that stolen base is I remember being in the press box in that end of the 6th inning where Volantis had just come in and they do the double steal. They get the guy in the base pass between first and second, but the runner from third scores. I think they ended up counting that as a steal, which, what's Galvan going to do? He throws it down, and then I believe it was Mendoza Okada doesn't throw it back to him, which
And that's
I don't know.
what's supposed to happen. Like
Yeah.
at that point, you're like the correct read is for the shortstop or second baseman, whoever the cut, because there's a guy covering the bag and there's a guy that's on the cut, and it's the guy that's on the cut. It's his job to get the ball and send it back home as soon as you see that third base guy take off. That's what you're supposed to do. But I mean, again, yeah, and that's also one of those situations where you damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like Galvan's going to get a steal. He can't throw both those guys.
It'll happen. Exactly. And I think
unless they mess up, I'll take that though.
that would have also been a great way to do it. I think I was a little critical of Schlossnagle in that little span, that the 5-6 inning mark, because of two things. I thought Ruger, it was obvious that he had kind of hit that point where we've seen it with him before. Getting north of 4 innings is a little tough for him, and he did it this game. It wasn't bad. It was just that he was lights out in the first 3, really 3 to 4, and then 5 it starts to struggle, and no one's up in the pen, which was a little bit interesting to me that there wasn't any activity. And then Volantis does come in eventually. A little bit of damage has been done, and then they score that run. I think Schlossnagle's got to be a little bit on his guys more about making sure that runner doesn't come in, because Volantis already threw a really good first strike. I can't remember if the pitch after that was a strike, but I think he can get that batter out as long as you keep those guys there, because as you're seeing with these stats, Dylan Volantis right now in SEC play, 0 earned runs, most importantly, 0.67 walks, hits per innings pitched. It means every 3 innings, 2 guys are getting on that he's pitching to. That's in his 6 innings of play. Only 2 guys have gone on in 6 innings. He had a walk. He's given up 1 double, and then he had a walk in the very end of this last game when it was pretty much already over. I said in my article today, these MLB level hitters, Jones, Dickinson, Curiel, Milam, they couldn't touch him. He had 5 strikeouts in his first 6 batters he faced. Just Dylan Volantis is the savior of this Texas baseball pitching staff. I don't know how else to put it, because this was just an absurd game from him.
I mean, you go back to like this isn't stuff that you get to see a lot. Like,
No,
you just don't like. I hope that people really appreciate what we're getting to watch, because this is like I hate to say such good things so early on, because it puts a lot of pressure, but this is Houston Street level stuff that we're going to watch here. And you go and you look, those 6 innings that he's pitched, those are not just some throwaway 6 innings. Hey, garbage time. The game's out of reach or whatever. We're playing Houston Christians second string squad. This is game is on the line, pressure. We need to win this game, right? And we're putting our stuff out there. And there was a former minor league player and a former Texas football player that might narrow a few things down. I don't want to name drop him without him having giving me permission to. But man, he was like, just watching his face when Dylan Volantis was out there pitching on Sunday and watching his reaction. It's some nasty stuff. And like you said, these are some very good, like you got Bear Jones up at the plate looking silly.
Yeah.
These are some very, very good hitters that Dylan Volantis just has them looking confused up there.
Yeah, and like you said, 4 2/3 of these 6 innings came this weekend in save opportunities. The save on Saturday, Sunday, he pitched a little bit against Mississippi State, obviously blanked them there. And I think this screenshot that we're seeing right here is showing a little bit of the spine of how this Texas pitching staff is going to work a bit. And I'd love to go a little bit more in depth about this, because as we're looking forward to the future, some answers will need to be, or some questions will need to be answered. Cody Howard is someone that gave you those 2 good innings pitched in conference play. Jason Flores looked good against Mississippi State, but that's going to need to add more players as we go on. But really, we're seeing that the top 2 are our Friday, Saturday starters. Jared Spencer's been banged up a little bit. I think it's going to come back around. He's maybe not an elite Friday pitcher in the SEC, but he's going to be better than this 7.59 ERA shows. Luke Harrison's been solid. And then you're getting to the spot where Rioja, Scrubs, and Volantis are really – they're going to be so Swiss Army knife throughout this year. Rioja started this game. I assume Max Scrubs is going to start an SEC game at some point. And you're going to see Dylan Volantis start some games. But it's really just Schlossnagle is going to kind of by his vibes and by what Max Winger is going to say to him, just pick who he thinks is going to be better in this spot, because I think these 3 might just be the best pitchers on the staff. Maybe Jared Spencer you can put in there, but at the moment, I think these 3 are dealing like the 3 best pitchers. And, some games are going to be started by Flores, some by Bing, some by either of those 3, but those seem to be the most important parts of this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, One thing that I love is just the versatility of these guys. Like you mentioned, Max Grubbs. He's probably gonna get a start sooner or later. Ruger Riojas. I mean, he went a clean 5 innings, and in the 6th inning, that's when he started to get touched up, and we saw Volantis come in. And you know what? If we can get 5 innings in the SEC against the number 2 team, like we mentioned this in an earlier episode, all we want is a clean start, right? And if Ruger can give us that, I mean, it's a tricky situation because you want an arm like Ruger Riojas to be able to come out of the bullpen and into some tough situations, and it's going to show that maybe, man, this pitching staff is going to be a lot more fluid than people kind of. It's not going to be like we were talking off air, less defined roles. Maybe in the case of Dylan Volantis, you keep him in that safe, keep him in the back pocket for the saves. But
yeah,
at the same time, just I think that this team is worried about this coaching staff is worried about winning games and not going after a certain record or saves or anything like that. They just want to win games, and they're going to put the pitchers in the spot that it makes sense to do.
Yeah, and yesterday in Slosh's press conference, I asked him kind of about how he got Dylan Volantis onto campus, and that's going to be an article I'm going to have coming out probably tomorrow. But Volantis got out of his letter of intent at USC, and just Schloss used the words "fell into our lap." He only visited Texas and Wake Forest. Schloss had never seen him pitch live, but apparently Wiener and what Schloss will telling him that Volantis hadn't even landed back in California before he committed to Texas verbally. So just a great evaluation there, and that's just how the staff is going to be for this year. There's a lot of guys that are kind of just Cade Big coming from a JUCO, kind of just falling into the lap. Cody Howard, a guy who was already here, but just didn't hit the portal, and they're using him in different ways than they would have in the Pierce era. Jason Flores was a big time get, and someone like Drew Rarick, it was either Rarick or Navarre was an A&M flip. It was just a lot of different guys coming from very different places are going to contribute this year. And even Andre Duplantier is kind of the sore thumb here, that 11.57. This guy's a veteran. He's not going to be an 11.5 ERA guy throughout the rest of this time. He's going to get healthier. Probably have Missouri to help him out here, but just a lot of stuff to like about this pitching staff and the future of it. But it's going to be something that is going to be a continual work in progress. You're not going to see the same Sunday starter every week. It's been 4 different ones in the last 4 weeks. So I'm just excited to see how it's going to look for the future. And unless you have any final thoughts, Nash, speaking of the future, we got some rankings to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts would just be, if you look at this list, there's a lot of young arms on the list right here, and between Riojas, Volantis, and Flores, and man, it's going to be fun to watch these guys grow over their time at the dish.
Agreed. And this Texas team just won two games against LSU. We have some rankings to show y'all because they moved up a little bit. Maybe not as much as some
inching closer to that number 1 spot.
Baseball America, man, number 3 team in the nation. Maybe a little bit ambitious to start, but they've grown 11 spots in that since the preseason there. D1 baseball, not a site that really likes to give the jumps over other teams. So only LSU was a team that lost the series in the top 8. So Texas jumps ahead of them, and then Perfect Game slowly inching them lower and lower in those rankings to number 5. Where do you see this team? Do you think that number 5 spot's maybe the perfect middle ground? Or are you closer to what D1 baseball's saying? What's your read on this?
My personal opinion, I would have this team at 4. There's some really good Georgia. I think that off the top of my head, I had like Georgia, Arkansas is at number 2,
Tennessee,
and then Tennessee.
Oh, you're not a big Tennessee guy though.
Well, no, and it has nothing. It's no disrespect to Tennessee. I'm more of a rankings are a week by week thing, and it's like kind of what have you done for me lately? It's just it's hard for me to, if Tennessee were to go 4-0, right? If the roles were to be reversed and they were in the Arkansas spot, right? Like if I'm an Arkansas fan, I'd be sitting there going, yeah, they went 2-2, right? They went 2-2. We went 4-0. What are we talking about here, right? Like Georgia, I know Tennessee swept Florida too, but it was a lot closer games. Georgia just absolutely mollywopped Florida. So in that, I mean, you have a direct head-to-head comparison of the two teams, and Tennessee had Florida at home versus Georgia went on the road. So everything that you look at would say Georgia has the advantage over that. And I just look, there's no it's like a Kendall Rogers responding to somebody, like it was a Georgia fan. He's saying Georgia fans sitting there saying, y'all need to respect us. And he's like, we have you all at number 3 or number 4.
I did see that tweet.
It's like, dude, being a top 5 team is like that. It's some really good baseball, and there's only one team that's able to be number 1. But again, yeah, not a Tennessee hater. Well, I mean, I am a Tennessee hater, but that has nothing.
For different
that didn't factor into the ranking.
Yeah, I think that 4-5 spot is where I'm at you with. I think the Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia probably is a tier that Texas is going to have to fight into at some point. But Oregon State being number 5 with some bad losses, they played some SEC teams and just been the inferior team. I don't get that ranking a lot. I get the Florida State one, so maybe Florida State 4. I'd have Texas at 5, but either way, I think these rankings don't truly matter that much until we get to.
I mean, we're going to find out really quickly. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We got Missouri in week 7, but week 8 we got Georgia sitting right there, and they play Auburn this weekend. So if both teams take care of business, that is going to be a top 5 matchup across the board.
Yeah, and I think
you got Arkansas, Florida, all wedged in there. I mean, towards the back end of the schedule, it's going to be some tough baseball.
Yeah, and I think as we close out this, where we're going, if Connor, you had the schedule pulled up, Tuesday, Sam Houston State, maybe not quite the UTSA matchup, but another Texas school that's going to put everything into beating Texas. It's just the target on their back. I have to mention this, but Jim Schlossnagle called themselves the Satan of college baseball this summer in our press conference this Sunday. So some fun quotes from Coach Schloss, but it seems like Sam Houston are going to have that target on their back. And I know you have some opinions about Missouri, but just this is the games that they need to win. It's a crunch time for a team like Missouri, who bottom of the SEC, one of the less talented teams, but Texas is not a freebie. You're going to Columbia. You have to play an SEC team who desperately needs to beat you. And if your pitching's not top notch, this Missouri team will sneak up on you if they're able to.
Yeah, I'll see if he can pull up the little charts that we have. This Missouri team, they are consistently in games right in the 4th or 6th inning of games, and they're either tied or nipping at the heels of the team that's winning. And I guess we're not going to be able to see it right here, but yeah, it's this Missouri team. They're a team that's they're just not going to lie down and
not going to keel over.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, so you can see. I mean, basically, or you can see which side Mississippi is on, and it kind of works just as a probability meter. But you can at least see that this shows that Mississippi is in the middle of games, and they're right there. They're in these games, 1-2 runs, either or tie game. And again, this is a team they're not just going to lie down. They're not just going to go away. And then this also kind of works against Texas a little bit. Is Mississippi or Missouri? They're going to be hungry. Like they're 0-6. They want to win a game, and then a game versus a team like Texas, who, from everything we've seen, yes, we got a lot. There's a lot to go, and rankings do change very quickly. But it's a team that looks like they're going to be a national seed, and a top 8 team, and it's just a win against a top 8 team that goes a long way in the RPI. And this is just going to be a series that Missouri, they're up for. They're going to be ready for Texas. And I think we're going to get their best out of them. And one little side note, I don't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be, we have 8 games straight with a cat themed opponent.
I can't believe that's what you.
Yeah, I just noticed it. We got LSU, Sam Houston, Missouri, and Texas State. It's all cats. And then we go to them, and then we go to them dogs in Georgia and Houston Christian. Man, it's a lot of animals.
All the home animals.
No, we got the home pits here.
So, like you said, this may be one of the easier stretches for Texas, but that doesn't mean it's easy.
Oh yeah, no.
Texas State, Georgia is going to be where we're really. Some players are going to make some money in the MLB if that goes well. But the Longhorns do have probably a bit of an easier week here. You're going to see a little less dish love because it's away, but. That Georgia series is a big circle, but first you got to get through Missouri and Sam Houston. But if they get through that, I think 4-0 is the expectations there.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Houston, like you said about Sam Houston, man, this is I don't want to talk bad about a team, right? But let's just be honest about something. All right, if you're losing to a pre-David Pierce Rice 6-1, like. This team's 7-17 they're in their own conference. They're 1-2. Like this is not. If we lose to Sam Houston, we got some things that we got to work out. There's some kinks in the hose.
They did lose a series to the New Jersey Institute of Technology, so hopefully this is the Drew Rarick or Bryce Navari bounce back.
The Engine.
The Engine, which I'd never heard of until I clicked onto it.
That was the first time I've heard
of Texas. Me too. Hope is for Texas to be 23-3 as they're entering this Texas State, which Texas State. Who knows what's going to happen there? And Georgia games. Longhorns, a top 5 aggregate team in the nation right now, anywhere from 5 to 7. You're looking at. So great time to be a Texas Longhorn baseball fan. Great time to be observing this team and fun time to be reporting about it. Check out all that we have to offer. Like we said earlier, if you're ever going to subscribe to Inside Texas, this is the perfect time. You're going to have $1 for 4 months of fantastic content about spring football. Obviously, what we're writing about for Texas baseball. Nash has had some great analytical articles. I'm writing some stuff about Volantis and about the pitching staff coming up here. So Sean Miller, new head coach, Keenan Womack, and I are also doing some basketball coverage. So just so much going on with Texas sports right now. If there's ever a time to subscribe, it's now. Tell your friends, tell your parents. Great time to talk Inside Texas and be on our board. So thank you so much, Nash.
I was going to say, man, this is the perfect time to join Inside Texas. I mean, the last time that we've seen Texas athletics, specifically football and baseball, at this level of, relevance and, just expectations was 2009, 2005.
Yeah.
So what a great time to join and what a great offer.
Yeah, if 2025 is anything like those years, then you'll want to have the subscription for sure.
I'm gonna be Inside Texas. Save me some money because I'm gonna be spending going to on some long distance trips here.
Some Omaha trips. Well, Thank you so much, Nash. Some technical difficulties got us here, but really good episode from us. And
we power through.
We do power through, and that OBS camera, who knows what's going on?
Hey, the speech that I gave my computer, it worked, man.
It worked, and Jim Schlossingel's been giving his team some speeches like that too. So that's gonna be all from us here at Inside Texas Baseball. I've been Evan Veith. It's been Nash. Thank you so much, and we're signing out here. See ya.
Welcome.